Hey there, my name is PolishLynx, preferably Lynx, and welcome to Katawa Shoujo. More of Katawa Shoujo. Now I actually don't know what's gonna happen, so hopefully the software doesn't mess up with me this time. Hanako is more noticeable in her absence than when she's in the room. I feel her empty desk calling out for me. I find myself peering over my shoulder, endlessly, hoping that I'm hallucinating and that Hanako will magically appear. She makes sure she's as small a presence as possible when she attends class. And although she had been getting better recently, that fact never changed. Nobody ever pays her any heed in class, and now that she's not here, they don't notice her absence. It's as if she just never existed. Lily did say that her skipping class wasn't an unusual thing before I met her, but it's still very off-putting. I mean, then again, Muto explained. The bells heralding the end of the school make me jump in my seat. It's only now that Aunt Misha is prodding me in the side with her mechanical pencil to get my attention.
Hello? Is anybody there?
Hey, stop that.
Ah, there we are! Welcome back to Earthy-chan!
What are you talking about?
You keep on tasting coffee to space. I was beginning to think that you might be trying to contact the alien life.
I really didn't get much sleep last night, so I don't doubt Misha's words. I'm not sure whether it was due to my medicines, side effects, Hanako's panic attack yesterday, my worrying about her in general, all of the three above. I yawned tiredly before resting my chin in my palm, having been reminded of how badly I slept.
Hey, are you alright? Is that kinda right? Let me as well.
Yeah, I guess. I wanted to speak again to Hanako for.
Did you see her last night?
Yeah, Lily and I talked to her. This may sound a bit weird, but can you tell Shizune thank you from both me and Lily? I know we technically didn't thank Shizune, but I could tell her by her reaction last night that she wanted to. At least that's how it works out in my head. I mean, maybe we'll repair a little bit of the situation over between the two.
I think what Shichan is trying to say is you're welcome.
The first signing and Shizune's reddened cheeks tell me that what she said was entirely different. Her blatantly flustered expression is amusing enough to make me chuckle.
What's so funny, Hichan? Was it something we said?
No. That's not it. I was simply thinking about how different Shizune can be at times.
You're right! Shichan is really different when she tries not to be.
I noticed that Misha decides not to sign her response to Shizune. Maybe Shizune's rage is enough of a counter to any quantity of different. I can't because, I mean, no. Nevertheless, Shizune quickly calms down and signs something else to Misha.
Oh, okay. Hichan. Shichan wants you to come and have dinner with us.
Yeah, I don't think so. Dinner, Turning away from them a bit, lest I be swayed by their pleading smiles, I begin to mull it over. The invitation certainly is tempting. A takeaway dinner with two girls that I don't necessarily like, but still it's not a bad thing apparently. But the thought of Hanako locked up in her room keeps dancing on the edge of my mind. Sorry, I'll have to pass. Misha doesn't sign response, but Shizune picks up on it easily enough and grimaces in disappointment. She moves her arms, assumedly beginning some form of either protest or coercion, but stops herself and taps Misha's shoulder twice. Once Misha gives Shizune her attention, the only statement Shizune has on the matter is shrug.
Oh well, it's your choice, Hichan.
I don't promise I don't want to promise anything, because I don't want that. I promise I'll join you two another time, if it helps. Why would you make such a promise? No. No. Misha perks up at this, but Shizune doesn't share her reaction. With a flick of the head to signal for Misha to follow her way, Shizune simply raises her hand to silently wave me goodbye. As the two make their way out of the door, I return the gesture until they're out of the sight. I didn't think they would be so disappointed, and it makes me feel a little bad for ditching them. Except it's not doing that at all. Still, I have things to do. The girls' dormitory is especially rowdy today, with a number of girls loudly playing games and watching the TV in the common room on the first floor. I can hear their voices even now, standing in front of Hanako's door. It's an odd contrast to the emptiness of the floor she's on. The voices from below make the emptiness feel all the more lonely. I had hopes Hanako would be in the class today, especially after the talk Lee and I had with her last night. But I feel like I shouldn't hold it against her. It was a pretty awful episode, and to have experienced it firsthand must be all the worse. Not knowing what stage she's in, I take a small brief before giving a few sharp knocks on the brown door. All I can do is stand and wait, doing my best not to feel anxious. As the seconds wear on, I begin to think she might be asleep and didn't hear me knocking. The door handle rattles a little before I can raise my hand to knock again. The door opens a sliver, and I, appearing in the gap, only just large enough for it to peer through. I'm sure this girl would install a peephole in her dormitory door if only such a thing was allowed. I just stand and smile at her. I don't think words would really help here, after all. The act is returned in kind, with Hanako wordlessly looking at me. The gap's not wide enough to see her expression, and I can only guess what she's thinking. Time passes as we look at each other, the only sound being the disembodied gaiety from the ground floor. I'm not sure how long it takes, but eventually the eye moves away. I keep wondering whether she'll let me in or shut me out until the door slowly begins to creak up open. Now that I have full view of her and her bedroom behind, the first thing I notice is that Hanako's hair is quite damp. She's recently showered, which has made me even more obvious by the scent of shampoo wafting towards me. The look on her face seems one of curiosity, as if she's not really sure what to make of me. Even so, I'm not really all that sure of what she's thinking. It feels as if she's gone away for a long time, and having now returned, neither of us knows what to say to the other. Hanako realizes she's staring, looking away awkwardly before turning to the side and gazing at her feet. I decide to take it as an invitation and step past her into the room, closing the door behind me as I do so. I can see her hands fiddling in the folds of the oversized I think I needed that. I can see her hands fiddling in the folds of the oversized gown that hangs from her shoulders. I try to concentrate on what I would say, but the scent from her adults my senses. To my surprise, it's not me, but Hanako breaks the silence.
Why?
Because, why did I come here? I was worried about Hanako, so I came to her room. So she let me in, and as I hoped, and then, what? What did I mean to do? What did I mean to say? Why didn't I think this through before coming here? I want to make up for what I feel I caused, at least partly. I want to try and remove the distance I feel between us since then, and to see her happy. How can I do that when I don't know the first thing about her? I wonder if this is how Yamaku felt when she saw me lying in that sterile pastel blue hospital bed. Right. A deep sigh steadies my nerves a little, and that's my stammering. I don't think I've ever felt this nervous around someone before. When I'm like this, I don't think I can lie. Even if I could bring myself to, Hanako would see through it right away. I don't know. I just wanted to see you, I guess. Her fingers stop moving, giving me a little surprise. Looking up to her face, she gives a sweet smile, and that was a satisfactory answer for her.
since you're here, I'd like to play a game of chess with you.
I almost hang my head in disbelief that all she wants to do, after I've been winding myself up so much, is play a game. Looking at her face fall, a tentative smile perched upon it, I realized that this is more than that. She could have not bothered answering the door. She could have shut it as soon as she saw my face. She could have asked me to leave. She could have rejected me at many points, but she didn't. Now with this calm face, she wants me to play the same game that we played when we first really spent time alone, together. A feeling of relief washes over me. Everything will be alright. Hanako has let me into her world. As long as we can be together like this, I think everything will be alright. Hopefully, it will be my pleasure. Okay. Things are turning okay, I guess. And the day of Hanako's birthday party is finally here. To be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing Hanako and Lee in their pajamas again. Hanako's gold has grown on me as looking rather cute, though a bit conservative, and Lee's shorts and thin silken top are a lovely combination. But the event is stained only with the memory of Hanako's reaction to it. I still don't really understand what happened, only being able to vaguely guess at the possible reasons for it, but I don't think finding the answer will be as straightforward as asking her. I wouldn't ask, to be honest. I feel like eventually, at some point, she would be able to open up about it herself. With that in mind, I knock on the door next to Hanako's.
Is that you, Hisao?
Yeah, it's me. I can hear the pitter-patter of footsteps coming to the door, followed by the sound of the lock snapping open. I don't think I've ever seen Lee's door locked before, and it makes me a little suspicious. Once the door opens, the sight is a little underwhelming for a birthday party. I don't know what he's talking about. Hanako returns to her seat at the table with a quick smile and a nod, leaving me to close and, assuming they wanted to be kept that way, lock the door. As I do so, I realize that the seat before me is that of an evening tea party, just like any other between the two. Somehow I don't think I should be surprised. To my relief, Hanako looks relatively calm. The break from class has probably done her good and given her time to wind down a bit. I take a seat between the two at the low table in the center of Lily's room, the brightly colored teapot steaming away between us. A tall brown bag close by Lily's side catches my attention. I covertly try to glance inside it a couple of times, but can't get a good look from here. Looking into Hanako, it seems like she's as curious about it as I am. Hey, Lily? Lee finishes off the teacup, raised to her lips before sitting down and giving me her attention.
Yes?
I was just wondering about that brown bag. She paused for a moment, then gives a slightly cheeky smile.
That would be Akira's present. Unfortunately, she said she was working and can't join us.
Lee leans over and feels out the item inside before raising her arm. I raise an eyebrow as two items, not one, rise from the bag. The glass snacks are grasped by Lee on either side of her middle finger, so this is why she had her door locked.
Wine?
1991. 2 years older than me. There are two small toots as the bottles are brought to rest on the table. One red, one white. I want to believe that it's fake, non-alcoholic wine, but if it was, there wouldn't be any need to be this circumspect. Alcohol? Seriously?
Are you sure this is a good idea?
Lee smiles politely and giggles. I'm not really convinced that she is.
This would be the present from my sister. I know it's a bit of questionable, but
A little shouldn't hurt. If Lee took serious issue with it, I don't think you should have agreed quite so easily. That aside, I had Akira squared as the serious and responsible type. Maybe like an older lady, but looks like I was wrong. How did you get that image? I didn't have that image from the very beginning. Anyway, we aren't even legally able to drink yet. Yeah, and cool. Well, in that case, I won't complain. They don't look bad either. I honestly don't know anyone that would, you know, drink alcohol for the first time after they were supposedly of legal age. Not gonna lie, I don't know anyone, myself included. But yeah, I'm no connoisseur, but at least the bottles look nice. Apart from the surreptitious glass of wine or two given from my father at my family dinners, I haven't really had enough to know what's that. What's what? Interesting. Which is funny enough because my parents, I mean, when it comes to family, basically, my parents weren't the first ones to, like, said, yeah, sure, drink this wine, whatever. It would be my grandparents. But whatever. It wasn't with family that I drank for the first time. Anyway, that, and I can't really say that I'm a total straight H. Going by Hanako's expression, she's thinking the same, and it's her birthday anyway. Shall I open one? Sure, guess. My heart skips as I hear 3 sharp bangs coming from Lily's door. Hanako's head flicks around, and Lily's eyes close as she listens intently. None of us want to be busted for this.
Who is it?
Let me in! I'm cold! Lily lets out a resigned sigh before motioning for Hanako to open the door. Akira? She obediently gets up and fuses with her gown before moving, apparently still not quite sure of who it is, but trusting enough to leave Lily to do as she requests. I can just see a blonde, dark-suited figure become visible over Hanako's shoulder as she opens the door.
Happy birthday, Hanako! Thank you, Akira.
Hanako gives a small bow while twiddling her fingers in front of her, so this is Lily's elusive sister. Akira follows Hanako to the table after shutting the door behind her, giving me plenty of time to have a good look at her. She looks to be about the same height as Hanako, and has short blonde hair that's quite roughly cut. That, in addition to her rather modest breasts... Can't believe he mentioned that. Masculine suit and deep voice gives her quite an androgynous effect. Without further ado, she plops herself down the side of the table across from me.
It's nice to have your company after all, Akira. Did work let you off? No, I let myself off. Yeah, I have to go better in a bit, but I managed to get enough of a break to drive down. So, this would be Hisao then?
A confident smile gets thrown my direction. Also, by the way, don't mind me, but my voices might be a bit off compared to normal due to reasons. But yeah, don't mind that. I'm sorry. Anyway, considering she just jumped straight to using my first name, she's much more informal than... Okay, I skipped the first line. A confident smile gets thrown in my direction, so I nod politely in return. Considering she just jumped straight to using my first name, she's much more informal than her appearance would suggest. Wait, if she already knows who I am, that must mean that Liz talked about me with her. I wonder what she said. I'm worried about what she said.
Sorry for not introducing you, Hisao. This is Akira Sato, my elder sister.
I see. Nice to meet ya. The person in question loudly claps her hands together, making Hanako jump a little bit. Akira notices this and looks at it for a fraction of a second before getting back into her stride. Only now to realize that Akira hasn't paid Hanako's scars any undue attention. Hanako also seems to be comfortable, if not exactly relaxed, around Akira.
Well then, I assume the presents got through. No point in waiting, considering Hisao and her birthday girl look like they're a pretty eager.
No, I'm not. Lee giggles as I awkwardly turn away, a little embarrassed by the fact that I couldn't hide my interest. Hanako's eyes start telling me that she wants to try the wine together with me, so I settle for a look of badly feigned indifference. Akira manages to anchor the first bottle with small effort, and Hanako goes to get some glasses before I get to pour the 4 of them full of white wine. I heard somewhere that white wine has less alcohol than red wine, so I think it'll be the best to start with. I have no idea if that's true, not gonna lie. Here's to Hanako and to Lily's trip. Technically to the sister's trip, but...
Cheers! Cheers! Cheers!
I have some remnants of tea. Actually, whatever.
Cheers.
After the traditional raising of the glasses, we all take sips of the pale yellow liquid. It's nothing like the stuff I had with my parents, with the fruitiness of the flavor almost entirely hiding the taste of alcohol. That's dangerous. Maybe this is what proper wine is supposed to taste like. Then again, it's possible that Akira just chose a wine which will be suited to our tastes, since none of us are used to alcohol yet. Or at least I hope none of us are. This isn't bad. I was expecting something harsher.
If you hadn't liked it, I have few other varieties you could have chosen from.
Huh? Where? You sound like you know your stuff when it comes to wines.
Only a bit. I'm more of a beer kind of person.
I actually hate beer. I mean, I'm not able to drink it alone, okay? That's a fact. Absolutely unable to. Or basically, I don't know, maybe it's also the fact that I'm unable to get the stuff from the stores and so on. I feel like the only time where I feel like, oh, this is kind of good, it's like when I was out in a bar with people. But otherwise, I really don't like it. Anyway,
I have the drinking side down pat for.
as if to prove her point, she refills her glass before bringing it to her lips and flicking her head back. Hanako and I silently watch as the whole glass full disappears down Akira's throat. I can't say whether to be impressed or put off, but I certainly don't have energy to imitate the act. Yeah, that's not what you would do with wine. Right? That's how you get rid of vodka. Lily grimaces slightly at her sister's boast. I note that she's sipping from her glass as she does so.
Anyway, now that Akira's gift has been opened and sampled, shall we move on to ours?
You know, Akira would be easily, basically, living in my country, actually. Because that's a lot of, I mean, for men at least. You just go, oh my god, what should I buy? It's his birthday. Let's go vodka. Let's go... what else? Or something more fancy. That's also an option, right? Because I don't know why. I mean, it's probably one of the easiest options you can get for a present of sorts. I guess if you really want to go fancy, you go with a whiskey or whatever, if someone is into it. Anyway, now that Akira's gift, okay, let's go.
Gifts! That's right, we got you presents. It's your birthday after all. This is from me.
Lee pulls out the carefully wrapped doll from under the table and passes it to Hanako. Hanako handles the present as if it were glassware, carefully turning it over to remove the tape that binds the wrapping. Eventually the paper falls from the doll, revealing the emerald green of the doll's dress.
It's beautiful.
I'm not sure what reaction I'm expecting from Hanako. The near total lack of dolls in her room made me think that she didn't care about them, but the look in her eyes now is something different. She turns the doll around, the same delicacy she afforded the wrapping, as if she was expecting it to fall apart in her hands.
I'm glad that you like it. Hisao picked it out, to be honest.
You didn't need to. Hanako suddenly remembers that she's not alone in the room, and shifts her focus from the doll.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you, Lily and Hisao.
Yeah, I got you something else. I reached into my bag and removed the wrap chest set. Here. Happy birthday. Hanako carefully sits Lily's doll next to her and opens my present with the same care that she showed Lily's. But before long, the checkered squares of the chessboard are visible, and Hanako gently runs her fingers across the carved surfaces.
Ah.
Almost by accident, she triggers the catch to the lid, starting herself in the process. She opens it and retrieves one of the grey pieces. She seems as absorbed in the chess pieces as she was in the doll before. They are coral, natural color undyed, or so I was told.
Thank you, Hisao.
No problem. It's your birthday after all.
That's right. My birthday.
Once again, Hanako's reaction seems a little low, but she carefully closes the board lid. Around Sakura's smile begin to look very strained. I wonder if she knows anything about what happened in class, given that she seems to be treading on eggshells around Hanako. I'll have to play you again sometime.
I'll make sure I play you first.
She takes the doll she received from Lily and holds it to her chest together with a small chessboard, putting the piece on top. The act seems to settle her down somewhat, and we just sit in silence for a while. I think it's one of the few times I've seen her genuinely happy, cradling the friendship of two people to her chest as tightly as she can.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Hisao.
In the process of thanking us, Hanako drops the chess piece, and fumbles a bit in her trash to retrieve it. Once she finds it, Hanako puts the chess set down, nervously gulps at her wine. It's as if the real world suddenly rushed back into her consciousness, and her fastest escape from it was in a glass.
It's dangerous.
Hey, easy there. You shouldn't drink that fast.
It is a party, Hisao.
Despite saying this, there is a slightly concerned edge to her voice. Eventually, acquiescing, Lily proceeds to follow Hanako's lead, though not as eagerly. She looks to be taking small sips from her glass and letting the wine settle on her tongue before swallowing. I decide that this is probably the best approach and do the same myself. Since this is kind of going away party for you as well, I hope you enjoy your trip at least a little, Lily. Hopefully your own will be okay.
I hope you around is okay too, Lily.
Lily is slightly taken back by Hanako's fervor to wish Lily well, despite her old familiar situation. I'm a little impressed.
My. Thank you both. I'll be sure to convey your thoughts to my family when I meet them. You'll be fine, dear Lily. Don't worry about it.
Since the room's mood has become noticeably more sullen, I decide to try and move this along. Well then, shall we start on the cake? My tentative suggestion has the intended effect, everyone lightening up considerably.
Yes, please. Cake? I didn't know there was any cake.
I picked one up before I came along with some snacks.
Well done, Hisao. At least one of us remembered to bring one.
Everyone seems to welcome the distraction, so I retrieve the cake from my bag and start cutting it up. Mixing wine and chocolate cake isn't something that I thought would work well. What do you mean? It works well. But none of us seem to mind. Conversation is temporarily suspended as we start to eat. I was initially wary of this idea. After Hanako's panic attack, I expected the worst from tonight. But I think Lily's idea of giving her good memories of her birthday is working. That and also having shared with her going away party. From Hanako's reaction to her gifts, I can tell she was really appreciative. Yeah. Hanako tries to pour herself another glass of wine but ends up spilling some on the table. She's had a couple by now, so considering that she's never had alcohol before, it's no wonder if she's feeling a bit lightheaded.
Sorry, Lily. I didn't mean to make a mess.
Don't worry, I've got it. Lily reaches sideways and gently takes the fusing Hanako in her arms, giving me a pause.
It's okay, Hanako. I'm just happy you're here.
Hanako gives only a faint note in response. It's a fitting, I suppose, that Lee would be the one to support her like this. I have no idea what Hanako would be like if she hadn't. Seeing the two like this makes me appreciate the fact that I'm privy to such an intimate moment. Even Akira can't help but smile at the sight. I never would have thought I'd manage to find new friends so quickly, and I'm all the more thankful that, of all the people, these two are the two I befriended. Yeah. They slowly break off from one another, Hanako regaining herself somewhat while I quickly get myself back on task. I find a towel among Lee's tea set and start mopping up the spillage. By the time I finish, however, Hanako and Lee have managed to uncork the other bottle and have topped off their glasses.
Looks like you're enjoying the wine then. Just don't go too crazy with it after this night.
We all dutifully nod and agree. But her reminder feels a bit silly given that she's the one supplying underage people with alcohol. Right. The second glass of wine goes down a lot quicker than first, and before any of us notice, the second bottle is empty. While Akira is helping us finish them off, Hanako looks to be almost equaling her in the amounts she's had. She's drunk as heck, by the way. My head feels a little light, but I think I've managed to gauge my own tolerance surprisingly well. Hanako smiles slightly, toying with her doll's hair. I think it's a pretty safe bet that she hasn't moderated herself as well as I. I don't think it was Hanako's intention to get this drunk, but it seems that the alcohol hit her all at once. She has a very light frame, something which wouldn't help her handle her booze well either. I like the music. I mean, okay, you might be saying that light frame makes you bet with alcohol. I would say I have myself a light frame and still I'm handling alcohol better than a lot of people. Surprisingly. Lily cradles her glass, running a finger around her rim. Her cheeks are rosy, but she's managed to avoid looking woefully drunk. Akira is, as I somewhat expected, largely unaffected. Her smile might be a little wider than before, though. Maybe. Hanako suddenly hiccups and accidentally knocks over the doll.
I think I should maybe go to bed. Thank you, Hisao. Thanks, Lee and Akira.
She slurs Akira's name pretty hard, barely avoiding breaking out into a giggle midway through. She's completely plastered, and I can't decide whether I should feel a little bad or not being amused at the stage she's in. It is really bizarre to see her acting so carefree. A shame that it's only with the help of alcohol.
Here, let me give you a hand.
Akira begins to get up to help Hanako out, but she's stopped when Lee gives a sharp cough.
Hisao, would you please?
Huh? Akira looks a little surprised, and I have to admit that I am as well. I don't mind the request at all, let alone when it's said with such a smile. It just comes rather unexpectedly. Sure, no problem. She's plastered as heck. That expression. I pick up the chess set and help Hanako stand up. I do feel somewhat responsible for her, considering that, other than Akira, I'm probably the most sober person in the room. She nurses the doll in one hand and offers me the other. Oh, so we are moving her, okay. We stumble out of the door, into the hallway, and through Hanako's room. Hanako bumping into me a number of times on the way. Inside the room, I flick on the light as Hanako turns her attention towards a shelf on her dresser. An elegant doll is sitting on it, staring into the bare room.
There you go, you'll be safe in here.
Oh, there are two of them. Hanako gingerly places the doll next to the other one and straightens its dress. Which makes me think right now that, you know, like I've seen a few videos like that with collectors of dolls. Like figurines don't creep me out, but dolls, like entire room filled with dolls, that stuff is creepy. I don't know why, but it is. Anyway, they sit in silence, hair and clothes perfectly arranged. Just like the teapot in Lee's room, they serve as a distinct contrast to the dull whites and greys that permeate the bedroom. Satisfied that her dolls, her only two real possessions, are safe, Hanako takes a step back and stands up, staggering severely. I step forward, catch her if need be, but she regains her balance without my help. For a while, both of us stand in silence as Hanako looks downwards toward the cupboard. After a minute or two, she begins to sway a little from side to side. It's very off-putting. Are you going to be alright? Hanako raises her head and turns around to me as if she's only just remembered that I was in the room. What's unexpected is that she takes 2 steps towards me and wraps her arms around my body, her head coming to rest against my chest. I can feel my heart beating as all of my senses feel like they're coming alive again, after their deadening through the previous drinking. The smell of wine on her breath, the feeling of her fingers through my clothing, the scent of her hair underneath my chin. My hands remain out in front of me, not daring to touch her. The temptation is there to hug her, to embrace her, to tell her everything will be fine. But this feels wrong. Really, really wrong. Hanako.
But I want to stay with you and Lily.
Hanako's slurring reminds me a bit of Misha. No. She probably wouldn't be pleased to hear that. I'm not pleased to hear that. You know I can't. You're a girl, I'm a guy after all, and Lily needs to sleep. She gives a disappointed groan. It's so strange for her to act so forward. Don't worry, I'll see you again tomorrow, okay? I decide to rest a hand on her head to reassure her, deciding that this is as far as I allow myself to go in terms of physical contact with her while she's in this state. Respect for Hisao. Hanako's head nestles against my chest. It makes me feel all the more uneasy with the situation, and as her arms tighten around my back, I quickly decide to bail out. I rest my hands on her shoulders and give a firm but gentle push. Her grip tightens a little as I do so, but she eventually breaks off.
I don't want you to go.
Hanako, please. Akira and Lee are going to start thinking weird stuff if I take too long here. It's perfectly true too. I really don't want to take any chances, and I feel very uncomfortable right now. I shouldn't try to read anything the way she's acting right now. I read that aside from alcohol rowing inhibitions, people can react to getting drunk in many different ways that don't necessarily reflect reality. True. And even without that, there are plenty of ways to interpret what she's saying. As long as she's safe, I'm going to try and get out of her room as soon as possible. Hanako hiccups again, looking a right mess as she stands and looks downcast in the center of the room. Her personality changed as she drank more and more, and now, all alone in her room with me, her previous brightness seems to have left her. Was she just acting upbeat to make sure we didn't worry? Even if she was, what could I possibly do for her? Since I did exactly the same thing in regards to my own condition. Distancing myself from my thoughts, I eventually managed to corral Hanako towards her bed, for her attempts to tame the wild sheets on it end up accomplishing little. Sorry about tonight, Hanako. I know you probably won't remember all this, but happy birthday. I'm sorry I couldn't do more for you. She looks up at me for a moment. I have no idea if what I said actually got through to her, but any chance to ask is lost as her eyes peacefully close. I sigh relief, before quietly backing away from her and leaving the room, flicking the light switch off as I go. I hesitate a little before opening the door to Lee's room again, quickly rehearsing what I should say if I get questioned about Hanako. After a few seconds, I still can't come up with anything. I open the door and make sure to close behind me, lest any passing students catch a glimpse of the wine, before turning my attention to the two girls at the low table. Akira is casually smiling, as is Lily. I welcome the change from the beauty in Hanako's room.
Is that you, Hisao?
Yeah, I got Hanako to her bed, she's sleeping now.
That's good. I have to admit, I hadn't thought that she'd drink quite so much. Hey, it's fine. She's all safe and tucked up in bed now, with the way she is.
She awkwardly trails off, for Lily and I would hardly protest. For someone so anxious and fearful, drinking would give an easy out from those constant feelings. I wish I could do more for her. I feel useless. Looking at Lily, I think back to what I asked myself in town. My relationship with her is that of a friend, and has only ever felt that way, but now I think I know why. Lily's been there for both Hanako and me since I first met her, but she's like that for everyone, trying to do her best to make them feel better. With that in mind, then what's the bond between me and Hanako? After rescuing our relationship following the panic attack I inadvertently triggered during class, I feel like we're back to being friends, but she's on my mind more and more! I can't say I view any other girl in quite the same way, but maybe just a normal reaction to someone acting like this.
Is it? Is it?
Say, Akira. She yawns before looking at me. It is getting pretty late. You know about what happened with Hanako, don't you?
Yeah, Lily told me. I negotiated pretty hard for a break so I could calm down and help make her birthday be brighter. We get along pretty well.
It's surprising to hear that from someone as extroverted as her, but if Hanako come to know her through Lily, maybe she had time to get used to Akira.
And on that note, I better get going. I'm already going to be a bit late as it is. But it's already so late. Sorry, we got a bunch of work dropped on us, so overtime it is.
Overtime sucks. She levels herself up with a grunt and heads past me towards the door. Just before she leaves, she turns back towards me. I mean, us.
You haven't forgotten about the time for the flight and all the rest? Don't worry, I have everything ready. It's just a matter of packing when it gets closer time to leave. At the care, I'll see you guys later then.
And with that, she disappears through the door with her hand held high in farewell. Your sister is something, alright. I probably should have thought that comment through before saying it. Regardless, Lee seems quite amused by my appraisal. You okay after all the drinking? Not wasted and just hiding it well?
I assure you, I'm quite alright. I can't bother myself. You seem quite self-obsessed as well, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, well, I guess your moderation applies to me as well. Without hesitation, I take a seat at the table in front of Lily. I want to address this directly, if for no other reason than to settle my own thoughts. I've been meaning to ask this, but it took me a while to make up my mind. Do you have any idea about what triggered that panic attack? I gathered it was something to do with her birth, but don't know anything more. Even Akira was being really careful around her, so I assume she knows as well. Lily's smile drops. The gaiety of her birthday party now well and truly over.
To be honest, I'm not sure of all the details myself. Hanako told you that she was in a house fire. She told me as much, after we met and spent a lot of time together. Other than that, she quite simply never told me.
She never told you.
Assuming the worst, what does she have to look back upon? A life of isolation and possibly even the death of her family. Maybe even going as far as blaming her existence for their deaths.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, we probably can assume the worst. That would be my guess. Even thinking about what little I know of Hanako's past is bleak. To have lived through all that and live on with those memories must be infinitely worse. Lee looks similarly depressed, but I can see her rebuild at least some of her composure before my eyes. I get the feeling that both of us are talking more frankly than we might otherwise do thanks to the wine, but it feels like just talking this out is a good thing anyway. I feel kind of helpless about it. When it's put like that, what can I possibly do for her?
I'm not wholly sure. I should tell you this, but Hanako told me that you visited her day after we both went to check on her. I must admit that I did not predict she would take such a step so quickly after what happened, nor did I expect you to. I think it was a nice gesture on your part.
It wasn't much, Lily. It just, at times like this, I sometimes think it would be better if we never had to leave Yamaku, or at least this town. Things are so much easier without others around. I didn't expect Lily to look quite so troubled at what I say, and for a while she looks lost in thought. She moves to speak but stops herself as soon as she does so. And three things. It's a bit of pudding.
I think... Tell me, do you have anything planned for Friday evening?
No. Isn't your flight to Scotland the next day? I don't think it would be a good idea to tire yourself out before you even get there.
I'll be alright. You needn't worry about me. I'd do this tomorrow evening, but I imagine Hanako will be feeling rather off for a while.
Yeah, she probably won't be in a good condition tomorrow. The thought of how she's going to be tomorrow makes me grimace. Maybe we should count our blessings that she ended up simply throwing up from drinking so much while having such a low tolerance. Which makes me think they really don't have good tolerance. I mean, they had 2 bottles for 4 people. I mean, that's not much. Anyway, well, I'm going to be able to attend whatever you're planning. What is it?
Nothing unusual, I assure you. Just a little excursion. And you'd better be off, Hisao. I can't imagine it's long at all until curfew is here.
Oh, that curve! I'm completely forgotten! I look at the clock next to Lily's bed, but it seems to be some oddity without written numerals. Which I suppose makes sense given Lily's condition. Okay, I need to check now. Clock for... Is there something? I mean, okay, talking clock, that makes sense. I mean, for a hand, like a, you know, your normal wristwatch, right? I would be guessing that the numbers might be... Oh, the numbers would be bulging somehow, and maybe there wouldn't be... Okay, maybe there still would be the same build, but you know, you'd probably have somehow the exact numbers and so on bulging a bit so you can feel it with the touch. I'm guessing. But I don't know what kind of clock she might have over there. I was curious about it, not gonna lie. Is this? No, that's not a thing. I don't know. If someone knows, feel free to tell me, because I'm curious now. Not one to risk a hot security patrol giving me a scolding. I get up and decide to go to my dorm, as she says. I literally, whenever this is mentioned, I'm imagining actually the curfew that was in the game Bully from Rockstar. Nice game, by the way. I think I have it on Steam. Well then, I guess I'll see you in Hanako tomorrow, assuming that both of you manage to get up in the morning. I also have it on X360, and that's where I've beaten it actually. Anyway,
thank you for the concern, Hisao. Until then.
With that, I make my way out of her door and into the hallway. I hope her idea will be a good one. We will find out in the next episode of Katawa Shoujo, probably. Anyway, for now, hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you in the next one. And of course, I wish you a wonderful day. Bye bye.